On 90 Day Fiancé, love isn't always what it seems. And for Greg Chillak, the fairy tale might be slipping through his fingers. Coming from Islip Terrace, New York, Greg thought he'd found the one in Ugandan beauty Joan Kruchov. But now, things are spiraling fast. Dowry drama, family tension, and shocking behavior are putting their future on the line. This is a story you don't want to miss. Greg Chillak, a 90 Day Fiancé cast member from Islip Terrace, New York, may be heading for heartbreak. Despite warnings and concerns from those closest to him, he seems unwilling to acknowledge the growing signs that his fiancée, Joan Kruchov, may have ulterior motives. His mother, Lucille Chillak, has been especially vocal, suspecting that Joan's intentions are more financial than romantic. The couple has even clashed over dowry discussions, a tension point that could threaten the future of their relationship. Joan, who hails from Uganda, has already raised eyebrows with her behavior, particularly in her interactions with Lucille. In a surprising turn, she criticized Lucille for spending too much time in her own home, a comment that came across as rude and disrespectful. The remark clearly upset Lucille and left Greg visibly uncomfortable. Things took an even more troubling turn when Greg addressed the issue with Joan. Rather than apologizing, Joan claimed she had been testing his mother to see how much she could get away with before triggering a reaction. Whether this was an honest explanation or an attempt to cover up bad behavior is unclear, but either possibility casts Joan in an unfavorable light. Some viewers believe it would be less troubling if Joan had simply lied about the test, rather than admitting to such manipulative behavior. So far, Joan has often appeared kind and respectful toward Lucille, but recent actions suggest a more complicated dynamic beneath the surface. As tensions rise, it remains to be seen whether Greg will choose love or listen to the warning signs before it's too late. Lucille's not perfect, but she deserves better. Tensions are reaching a boiling point between 90 Day Fiancé star Joan Kruchov and her future mother-in-law, Lucille Chillak, and it's starting to look like their relationship may be beyond repair. Joan's recent behavior has raised eyebrows, with one moment of extreme rudeness standing out as a potential deal-breaker. What makes it even more disappointing is that Lucille, unlike some of the more infamous monsters-in-law on the show, think Debbie Johnson, actually made a sincere effort to welcome Joan. She even complimented Joan on her work ethic around the house, a rare olive branch in the world of 90 Day Fiancé. Lucille hasn't rushed to label Joan a gold digger, even though some viewers are beginning to wonder if that's exactly what's happening. It might still be too early to judge, but Joan's blunt criticism, like calling her fiancé Greg lazy, along with her coldness toward Lucille, has sparked concern. Her harsh tone doesn't come across as love. Instead, it feels like resentment, aimed at both Greg and his mother. Adding fuel to the fire is the issue of the dowry. Joan's family is asking for $3,000. While that isn't an astronomical amount, it's a significant strain on Greg, who reportedly cobbled together $5,000 just to pay for their wedding. Not an easy feat in the U.S. wedding market. Financially, it seems Lucille is carrying much of the burden. Meanwhile, Greg is still unemployed, though he recently landed a job interview. Until then, he's struggling to contribute much, financially or otherwise. With cultural clashes, money issues, and emotional tension piling up, viewers are left wondering, is love enough to keep this couple together, or is Greg ignoring the red flags that everyone else sees? Things aren't quite right for this 90 Day Fiancé duo. On 90 Day Fiancé, cultural differences can create tension, and for Greg Chillak and Joan Kruchov, the issue of a dowry is becoming a major fault line in their relationship. In a recent episode, Joan explained that in her Ugandan culture, a dowry is a long-standing tradition, a way for a man to prove to his fiancé's family that he's capable of supporting her. According to Joan, this isn't optional. If Greg wants to marry her, he must pay it. No exceptions. For Greg's mother, Lucille Chillak, the demand feels deeply uncomfortable. Raised with different values and cultural expectations, she's watching her son, who's already stretched thin financially, scramble to meet demands that seem increasingly burdensome. Greg has been trying to find work, aware that his relationship comes with a price tag. But it's likely Lucille will have to cover the rest, including the $3,000 dowry, on top of helping with wedding costs. And here's the emotional sting. While Lucille opens her home and heart to Joan, trying to make her feel welcome, she's met with coldness and criticism. What began as cautious optimism on Lucille's part has now turned into deep hurt. She once praised Joan for her contributions at home, genuinely trying to build a bond. But Joan's blunt comments and dismissive tone, particularly around the dowry and Lucille's presence, have left emotional scars. Now, Lucille is no longer hiding her disappointment. She's beginning to push back, calling out the disrespect and reassessing her view of the woman who may soon marry her son. The atmosphere is growing tense, even toxic, and the cracks are becoming harder to ignore. Had Joan kept some of her criticisms to herself, or approached things with a bit more grace, this might have been avoided. Instead, Lucille now finds herself stuck planning, and likely funding, a wedding for her only son and a woman who barely tolerates her. It's a cruel twist for a woman who truly tried. And while everyone involved is trying to keep the peace, the dynamic in this household is fragile. It's not the end of the world. Not yet. But it's another heavy complication in a relationship already weighed down by doubt. The truth is, these kinds of complications don't always stay small. They snowball. They plant seeds of resentment that can eventually pull couples apart. We've seen it before. Remember Colt and Larissa? Some viewers might compare Lucille to Debbie Johnson, but there's a key difference. Both women offered warmth. What they received in return, however, was often distance and disrespect. The real problem isn't just the mother-in-law tension. It's that these relationships seem to lack emotional generosity. There's a coldness, a transactional tone, where there should be tenderness. Love can only thrive when there's mutual appreciation. When one person enters the relationship trying to change the other from the start, it rarely ends well. Without a foundation of respect, and yes, some genuine adoration, these relationships don't stand a chance. There are pregnancy rumors about Joan.